Week 9 is in the books and week 10 is fast approaching. I'm Erik Stenholm. He's Joey Moore. This is the You Like That Feels Great Baby podcast. Wild week 9, Joey. How was your Sunday, my friend?
Sunday was great. Watching games all day with your team not playing, a little weird. I kind of missed the juice. But good thing my team didn't lose today. So you know what? I'll take that. I'll take it. Yours was great, I assume.
Oh, couldn't have been better. I mean, if we boat raced Washington, maybe it could have been better. But early games,
They don't ask how. They ask how many.
oh, this is what I'm talking about. I think we've won every game except for the Green Bay one by one possession. But nobody in purple cares. We do not care.
Nope, we do not care.
Yeah, the early games, the late games were okay. The early games from whatever it is, 12:45 Pacific till about 1:15. There were like 6 of the 8 early games in the balance at the same time. And Scott Hansen on the red zone was about to have a conniption. Like he just could not keep up. It was like the Jets make a huge play here. The Vikings make a huge play here. It got nuts for about a half an hour.
I'm not going to say bored. Bored was a stretch, not seeing my team today, but I did fire up the red zone free trial today. I saw. So I know I'm going to contradict myself from last week, but it wasn't bad for your team not playing and to watch whatever. There was that window like at the end of the early 10 a.m. games before the 1 o'clock. Yeah, it was like Chargers, Falcons going down to the wire, the double fumble play I saw when that lineman just dropped the ball. Then they had the Jets and Bills. They had, your Vikes and football team and what else?
Against the commies?
Miami, Chicago. Yeah. They had, it was a good one.
A lot of different
why
ways.
the NFL owns the TV eyeballs.
Oh yeah. They own a day of the week, as they said in Concussion. So where do we start with week 9? Jets stunned the Bills, which was nuts. Seahawks are 6-3. The Chiefs came very close to blowing it at home as 14-point favorites against Malik Willis. Pretty crazy day. Is this maybe the most unpredictable season of our lifetimes with some of the results we're seeing on a like a week-to-week basis, the Jets beating the Bills being probably the craziest one today?
I mean, it sure is from what I can remember. We talked about it last week with the coaches, maybe making, I don't know. I just feel like coaching's down, but we said injuries, the turf, I don't know if it's like the travel with going to London, Germany. I don't know. It just feels like it's a little bit more mediocre. But yeah, I'm sure there's always years where there's good teams have some dumb losses, but it feels like every week is just what's going on. But yeah, the Jets over the Bills, probably the most shocking. Yeah.
Seahawks just blowing the doors off of Arizona, I thought was pretty crazy. Obviously, we picked that last week, but to actually watch Arizona unravel was pretty shocking. With I believe at one point they had 3 consecutive false starts. They snapped it over Kyler Murray's head twice. There were screaming matches on the sideline again, this time between Murray and Hopkins. And I'm like, is that
Hopkins
a situation that's tenable? Yeah.
Hopkins is like the one guy I thought maybe was Kyler's guy. Because you saw the first when it was Cliff and Kyler on that Thursday night. Like Hopkins kind of came over and was like, whoa, we're all, one big happy family over here. And like a couple weeks later, Hopkins is like, I'm over this. Like he looks over it. I mean, I get some enjoyment out of it. But yes, the center, Billy Price. That was one of the games I had local TV today, and being a Niner fan, I mean, watching the 2 division rivals. Happy to know someone's going to lose. But yeah, the center, Billy Price. Holy smokes. I know Kyler's not the tallest guy in the world, but hit him in the hands. It's and then they kept calling false starts, but I said this talking out loud to myself, like it looks like the center's not hiking the ball. Like you said, the cadence. I'm like, it looks like no, the lineman went on one and you misheard the huddle and was like, I'm hiking this on 2, and it just set their offense back in second, and it goes, 2nd and 7 goes to 2nd and 12. all those, and they're way off schedule. And
I can't remember who the color commentator was for that game. It may have been Schlereth, but someone.
It was Adam Amin and Daryl Johnson.
Oh, Daryl Johnson.
He filled in for Joe Davis because he did the World Series. But
right, Daryl Johnson was like, something is up at the most basic level for Arizona, and that's never a good sign. He kept watching play after play and saying, hey, if they can't get the plays in, if they can't get the cadence right, if they're snapping on one when it's supposed to be on 2 or 3, it doesn't look really tenable at the moment for Arizona. Obviously, their season looks like it might be over already at 3-6. But how about the Rams and Packers? Are both of their seasons completely over? And another note that I had today, LaFleur and McVay, are they already looking for a way out after this season?
I'll start. The Packers is definitely over. I mean, they get Dallas next week. I think they get embarrassed at home by Dallas. So they could be 3-7. I mean, at best they're they'd be 4-6 if they won. But I think they're like the division's goodbye, wild card. They'd have to right now. The 7 seed is the Niners at 4-4. I mean, that I don't see that because their schedule is brutal because they're playing a first place schedule. So, like, who are they catching? They're already several games behind Dallas and the Giants, who are behind Philly. They'd be the.
I mean, they lost to Detroit and Washington.
Exactly, like you can do
games.
You can do that win-loss, you do that before the season starts. Like, oh, what's our record? Win-loss. Like, how can you do that if you're a Packer? You just lost to Detroit.
Yeah.
Who, despite how good or bad you've been, I mean, they've owned them. So they're done. The Rams, I don't want to say are done because I still think they might get OBJ. I still think they might somehow, if Seattle comes back down to earth, but I wouldn't bet on it. I mean, they look good. They're terribly beat up and terrible itself on the offensive line.
I mean, I watched both of those games intently today, and I really think looking at the long-term situation for both with the Stafford and Rodgers contracts, with all the picks and top players that have left in the past couple years, I mean, if you're LaFleur, maybe you trust that Rodgers will get it back at some point.
I think
if you're McVay, you got to be thinking, I want to get into the booth in 2023.
Oh, he's already thinking that.
Yeah.
I think LaFleur is more looking. Again, I'm not the biggest, smartest guy's X's and O's, but he looks like he might just want to get rid of Rodgers. I think like people who I follow on Twitter who really can explain offense, they're like, he's not running his offense. Like Aaron's running the offense Aaron wants to run. And LaFleur just looks like I'm just a puppet.
Right.
Like, we all blame Mike McCarthy and say what you want about him. Like, I mean, eventually the common denominator is 12. And like, who was Tom Brady throwing today? Mike Evans got a little banged up. I know but Chris Godwin's not the same guy. Julio Jones, I think, can you correct me if I'm wrong? I thought he might have got benched. I know they were mentioning like, oh, he's on the sideline, but he's not playing. I'm like, that sounds like he's benched.
Yeah.
And I mean, as for the Rams, I know they got problems on the offensive line, but their defense, like I texted you, was that like the worst end of game? I did 45 seconds. I know it's Tom Brady, but 45 seconds, no timeouts. They went 60 yards easily.
Yeah.
Like, and he's throwing to Scotty Miller. Like he's not. It's not like Mike Evans,
and Cade Otton.
Yeah. I like the defense. Like you're healthy for the most part. Ramsey was in there. Bobby Wagner, Aaron Donald was like. Get a stop.
I thought of you in the first quarter when Tony Romo said, watch every time the Rams play the Niners. They have figured out how to neutralize Aaron Donald, and you've been saying that for years. And it's not like Tampa Bay did a great job of that today. They only scored 16 points. But I was thinking of you because you have always been saying that Aaron Donald, as great as he is, his first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the best players ever, he can be neutralized if you game plan in a certain way.
I don't want to be a super homer and be like, yeah, he doesn't do much out there against the Niners. That's a lie. But like, yeah, they usually let him. It was very similar to what the Chiefs did against the Niners with Nick Bosa. They basically wouldn't block him and let him just run up field and run himself out of the play. And I know that's what the Niners would do sometimes with Aaron Donald, let him get up field so quick. And then all of a sudden, by the time he puts his second foot down, like the running back or whoever's like by him already. But yeah, the Rams, I trying to be a little bit maybe optimistic, but no, I think the Rams and Packers are both over. I also thought Tampa was over, but they did win today, and they play in the South, so they're back in first place hosting a playoff game. So
yeah,
8
and 9 might be enough. 7 and 10 might be enough. Yeah, the GOAT is still in it somehow.
Good for him. You see the hug with Byron Leftwich?
I think Leftwich knew he was getting fired if that touchdown doesn't happen.
Like Tom, and you saw his post game. He's like, what? He's like, oh, that felt fucking good.
Yeah,
I'm like, he's like, because like we always think, well, why is he still here? He's like, days like today is like, there's no amount of hanging out with your kids, hanging out with your wife. There's no amount of that he's gonna make up for like today.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
45 seconds left, driving down with no time
to
win the game. He's like, nothing like it. We'll do one quick look at the Vikings, who, ho hum, 6 in a row. First time we've been 7-1 since the Brett Favre 2009 season. 10-point fourth quarter comeback. We're 7-1. Really the only big play we gave up in the whole game, the ref tackled our safety and like completely ruined the play. So I felt like it was a really good defensive game plan today for the first time in a while, where Washington probably should have had like 10 points in that game. They got away with a couple things. Our offense was not great, especially coming out of the second half, but Cousins put it together in the second half, 10-point comeback real quick, did everything we needed to do to win, and then was iced out on the plane on the way back. And it seems like Kirk has flipped the page from Mr. Goober to quite a good teammate. Pretty surprising, huh?
I've always been a bigger Kirk guy than you, just because when he is your quarterback, you always point out, yeah, that's right. Today's the best day to wear that.
Oh yeah, I had to break the Cousins jersey out of retirement. I usually keep this in the back of the closet, but not today. It's
just when you have like your own family and there's like people say all this crap about your own family, but you're like, that's my family, like they're my crap. And it's like like I feel like you and like Vikings fans probably feel that some days with Kirk, like some of those prime time, like his bad can be bad. And I like, just like Jimmy, like he's been terrible. They've tried to replace him. But I can't say it wasn't a little like a family reunion when he came back that Seattle game. Like, I mean, I hope Trey gets better. Like, no one will see anyone hurt, but it's like, that's our guy. Like, that's my quarterback. Yeah, he might overthrow everyone every game, but yeah, it is. You're seeing it now in Seattle. There's a couple other teams. I mean, I know Tennessee didn't win, but Tennessee doesn't have to be the quarterback, because Tannehill equals, but just like you have your team, those core guys, whether it's the GM, coach, quarterback, team alignment philosophy.
Yep.
Like when it all synergizes, to use a wonderful tech word, synergy, it's something. And the Vikings, that video on the plane with Kirk, pretty iced out, drippy. I don't know what the kids like to say. Yeah, I mean, good for him. Good for him.
Yeah, great win, great moment for the Vikings. And going into Buffalo next week, we kind of had.
There was a chance I thought he might be relegated to QB2 behind Nick Mullins, but
yeah, Nick Mullins came in for a couple plays when Kirk was banged up, and I was like, "Oh God, here comes Big Dick Nick." I know Joey's going to be texting me.
But... Let's go.
A couple other things for the games today before we jump to your Jack and the Bum of the week and some Week 10 matchups. The Bengals and Dolphins offenses looked insane today, like they have for most of the season. I'm ready to call it. Tua is officially really freaking good, and I never thought I'd say that after the way he performed his first 2 seasons in the league. He looks really good. Between the Bengals and the Dolphins, which team do you think is more likely to topple either Buffalo or KC of those two?
I would lean Miami because they did it once already. The Bengals offense without Jamar Chase, I know they played Carolina today, and I know Joe Mixon is still running, but like
5 TDs, that's it.
I just think Miami's a little bit more sustainable. I guess I believe in Mike McDaniel more than I believe in Zach Taylor. like the game against the Browns was exactly what I thought when Cleveland or Cincinnati, missed Jamar Chase. That I just, yeah, I'd have to say Miami because the run game travels, and that's what Mike McDaniel hangs his hat on. The Cincinnati offense can sometimes just get, what did Joey B say? Just F it, throw down to whoever, and it's like that. I know that beat Kansas City last year in the playoffs, and it very easily could happen, but I mean, if I had to, I'd say Miami. I'd counterpoint and say there's something up with Buffalo. Like I don't like it's odd to me that their 2 losses are in the division, teams that thoroughly scout, know everything, right. And it's like they've gotten you both. I think Buffalo, they played the Patriots. Yeah, I think they might have beat them, or I don't know, but they've lost to Miami already. They lost to the Jets, and I know people were saying earlier in the season they struggle more in close games. Like they're that whole what is it, Mike Tyson? Like if they don't knock you out early, like they kind of get uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of felt that today, and it'll be interesting going forward because I don't think they're as a lock to get to the AFC Championship game as most people think they are. Because now that game, who knows, with the loss and the Kansas City win,
right?
Does that game now go back to Kansas City? Where is it? It's you can't lose these games. Like you can't keep losing to the Jets.
You can't lose to Zach Wilson and be like, I'm the Super Bowl favorite.
You can't lose. You can't lose as what were they? 9.5 point.
Oh, today I think they were 11.5 point.
11. You can't lose. Yeah, but we'll see. But to get back to your question, I would go with Miami.
Yeah, I'm probably thinking Miami too. Just watching them today, it's like every pass from Tua is right on the money to a wide open receiver.
Yeah, you texted to me like wide open, and that's like I said, that's Mike McDaniel.
This is Mike McDaniel, first ever honorary friend of the pod. I think that's 3 straight
I'm so
weeks.
jealous of not only obviously his team, his offense, and whatever, but as a I'm wearing contacts right now. You're wearing glasses, but as a glasses wearing person, his glasses, he's got. I tried to Google them, but they're like the Oakley. I don't know the name, but they're sweet.
Yeah,
I don't know. He just the way he's like Tua.
He's embracing the Miami look. He just looks like he's on the beach calling up plays.
It's just I don't know. It's just even the way he's like I love Tua, and I genuinely feel like he would if he got married again next week, Tua would be in the wedding. He just so genuine, how much he just I don't know. It's refreshing. It's refreshing to some guy to come in and be like, no, we got a good team, other than let's blow it up.
Yeah, exactly. And he's coached them up. He's definitely the favorite right now for Coach of the Year, you would think, especially if they keep scoring the way they're scoring. One more thing before we go to your Jack and the Bum of the Week. I got a little bit of a hot take. We're going to watch the Baltimore game tomorrow. They're playing at New Orleans. That's their last game before the bye. They're missing Andrews. They're missing at least 2 running backs. If they come out of that game with a win, I picked Baltimore to win the Super Bowl before the season because they were so injured last year. They were the 1 seed in mid-December and then completely fell apart because of injuries. With the way things are breaking with Buffalo, Kansas City, Miami's obviously very good. Watch out for Baltimore. I got a feeling they win tomorrow, get healthy in the bye, get Andrews back. I looked at their schedule. It's really not that bad coming out of the bye. Watch out for Baltimore. I think that's a pretty solid bet for if you want to put some money on them to win the AFC right now, it's a really good buy low point because they do have 3 losses. So watch out for Baltimore.
Yeah, Joey. I saw you put that on our thing, and I'm looking at the schedule now. They go, at New Orleans tomorrow, but then they come back with Carolina, Jacksonville, Denver, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Atlanta, Pittsburgh, and the last one at Cincinnati, which they already have the 1 win over them. I see
12-5 there. I think they get to 12-5, and they could somehow. I mean, if they really run the table, they could host either Buffalo or Kansas City, which would be nuts. So I really like Baltimore, especially if they come out and put a beat down on New Orleans tomorrow. Let's go to your Jack and the Bum of the Week. Everybody's favorite segment. We post these on TikTok, and my picks get some views, and us complaining about Russell Wilson's antics get some views. But it's the Jack and the Bum of the Week that really brings people in. So a lot of candidates this week. The aforementioned Aaron Rodgers. Frank Reich was just a disaster today. Like Indianapolis could not move the ball. They had like, I think it was -2 yards at the half or something. It was just an absolute disaster. The Bills crap the bed, but you're going in a different direction for your Jack and the Bum of the Week for week number 9.
Yes, the highly anticipated Jack and the Bum of the Week. Fantastic list of candidates you just mentioned. There's always a fantastic list of candidates every week because, you know, bad football out there some days. But today I wanted to go with this, I would say, team, person, group of players last week, but they were so bad I couldn't pick one, so I decided to give it a week. But they're not getting off the hook this week, and it is the LA, Oakland, LA, Las Vegas Raiders organization. We're out here in the Bay Area. Well, we have a lot of ties to Bay Area. You're down in SoCal, but know a lot of Raider fans, so thoughts and prayers to them. They're not sick, but they're just Raider fans, so their team sucks. So thoughts and prayers to them. If I had to go with one guy, Josh McDaniels, 2-6. You've, like I mentioned this last week, you've already had 2 meetings with Mark Davis. Like, that's not good. It's just, you go back to him, it's like, did he really deserve the job? Like he was terrible in Denver. I mean, just not only just was bad. I know he won that playoff game with Tebow, but
that was actually John Fox, I believe.
Was it? Oh,
yeah.
My bad. Bum of the week right here.
Yeah.
No, I just
don't want McDaniels getting any credit for anything because he has accomplished literally nothing as a head coach. Yes, he was Brady's offensive coordinator, but like so is Byron Leftwich. So
and it's just the whole thing with the Colts he had a couple years ago was just very, very odd, if not borderline just disrespectful to bail on them.
Yes.
The offense,
I forgot about that, and I think a lot of people forgot about that. That never happens in the NFL.
Yeah, like he just said, like, I will, but I won't. Then he goes back to New England, and they win a bit more. He, last year he got a lot of credit, I'm sure, for Mac Jones, but like, did we all just forget? Did we just forget what happened in Denver? Did we forget, the whole lack of accountability with the whole Colts thing? We never really got an explanation. And now you come here, like, the Raiders were a playoff team last year. The Raiders, they gave the Cincinnati Bengals a very tough game in Cincinnati.
They fought hard for
and that one game, that one play. Remember the play that Burrow had run into the sideline, throws it, the whistle blew as a touchdown. They counted. Like, just weird stuff happened, and the guys played hard for Rich Bisaccia, and it's like you threw it all away for a guy who might be X's and O's, dream boy, but like, I'm not seeing it. Like, you have players. Josh Jacobs is renaissance season. Derek Carr is not. He's not playing. I could have gone with him. He's not playing. Well, he had a decent day today. Devontae Adams had a huge day today, but it's like receiver again, not making a huge. It's not like a quarterback pass rusher. It's just like he's racking up yards, but I think most of them, if not all of them, were in the first half. The second half, they gave up 24 unanswered. I think it was 20-3. Yes. I think the Jaguars got a late touchdown in the first half, 20-10 at half, and they lose
27-20. Yeah, they didn't score another point.
So, like, that's coaching. That's like Doug Peterson playing the Jaguars, who just lost to Denver, who had lost 5 in a row. I think they're now 3-5. They were 2-1. I remember they beat the Chargers, and Trevor Lawrence was like, "We're a good team." Okay, well, they lost 5 in a row. But yeah, the Raiders, for most of our entire life, have just been just a poster child of nothing. I mean, moving. They're more famous for moving the team than playoff wins. Do they have more moves than playoff wins in our lifetime?
Oh, let's see. Yeah, because they moved back to Oakland when we were little kids. Then they moved to, their only playoff wins since we've been alive were freaking 2002 with Rich Gannon. So I think it's 3-2. More moves than playoff wins.
I literally just thought about that. I was just like, that's
sad.
That's the Raiders. That's what Devontae Adams left. He left Green Bay. I know they're in shambles now, but Packers, it's an utter just stop the state. cheese land it is unprecedented how unacceptable this is. This is par for the course for the Raiders. Like, this is who they are. And it's just, I mean, they have players on their team I like to root for. I mean, Devontae, Derek Carr, they all seem like nice. Darren Waller's a great story. I haven't seen him since last year. He's he got that huge contract the day or something before the season started, and then he got injured. He's been out. Max Crosby, great story. He's a stud, but
bad coaching. That's the McDaniels hire has.
I want to mostly. I said the Raiders, but it's mostly Josh McDaniels. But you could go. It's too early to put it on the new GM, but you could go Derek Carr. You could just put everybody. But what is it? Was it Herm Edwards who said this? He's like, you're either coaching it or you're allowing it to happen. Or was that Bill? I've heard somebody said Bill said it, but I thought somebody recently said it was actually Herm Edwards who first said it. I'm like, yep, you're the coaching or allowing it to happen. And
the Raiders, Joey,
commitment to excellence.
Week. Yeah, commitment to egg salad, as my uncle, a big time Raiders fan, would say. Commitment to egg salad. We got some great feedback from some of our listeners that maybe our guessing lines segment was getting a little too long. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the Week 10 schedule. We're going to look at the lines. We're not going to guess them. We're just going to go over some predictions and some bets that we're considering for Week 10 before we do a quick state of the Niners and Vikings before we get to our picks. Looking at the card, Atlanta at Carolina, crummy game. Nobody should bet on that.
Al Michaels is going to be electric on that game.
Oh, he is.
He's going to be like, why are we here?
He's hitting the bourbon like in the second quarter, like, and I love it. I'm here for it. I like Al Michaels.
Oh, it's great
that he's just like Bezos gave him the Brinks truck of money, and he's like, I can say whatever the hell I want. I'm on streaming now. It's been pretty sick. Nobody should bet on that game. And then pretty crazy one, actually, Seattle against Tampa Bay. It's in Munich. When I saw this on the schedule, obviously I was like, win for Tampa. Not anymore. Seahawks 6-3, Bucks up to 4-5. Tampa Bay -2.5 is the line. You said you like Seattle?
How do you not like them right now? Tampa showed me nothing today except for the final drive. They cannot run the ball. They absolutely cannot run the ball. And Seattle's pass rush is pretty good. Their corners are playing outstanding. Tariq Woolen, player of the month, rookie of the month.
Oh, yeah.
The other guy, Kobe Bryant. I mean, elite name, but
yeah,
he's playing great. The Seattle can run the ball. Tampa's defense isn't what it used to be. Like, they mentioned last week, Shaq Barrett gone for the year. I mentioned this. If it wasn't a 45-hour plane ride from Seattle, which I thought maybe they might fly from Arizona after the game, but I heard they're going back to Seattle and flying Wednesday. I'm not too thrilled about that if I was a Seattle fan. But yeah, I don't see it with Tampa. But I'm rooting hard for them. So
yeah, they pulled that one out of their rear end today. I was kind of surprised that it was 2.5. I thought it would be at least the full 3. But you like Seattle in that one. Next game, Vikings at Buffalo. So it's Buffalo -9.5. I thought this would be higher. This, to me, seems like the Buffalo, we have to reestablish that we are the best team in football game. And this is also the Vikings coming off like an emotional win. Kirk is, bedazzled on the plane, on the flight back. Everybody's like riding so high in Minnesota. This is the flat spot. And I'm okay with it. We're 7-1. The schedule is actually not that bad after the Buffalo game. This is the game where Buffalo can put the hammer down. That's my thought. What do you think about that?
Yeah, you gave a lot of really good reasons why it is 9.5. But the Vikings are going to be playing with house money. No one is expecting them to win this game. Again, we're making a big deal about it, but the game's at 10 a.m. our time, 1 o'clock. I don't know. I just 9.5 is a huge number, especially for a team that's 7-1.
Right.
Like they're doing something right. People want to nitpick at their point differential and like, oh, 1-score game wins. Yeah, well, they're winning them. So I mean, if it is a close game, like I mentioned earlier, Buffalo's not, unless Buffalo's up 21-3 after the first quarter, I think it could get weird.
Which, as a Vikings fan, that's what I'm worried about, is our defense capitulates in the first half versus, we get Cook going, we get a nice drive to start the game, we're ahead like 7-3 heading into the second quarter. If we kick off first and Buffalo just zips down the field for a touchdown, then the floodgates could open. It's one of those games like back when the Vikings had like Christian Ponder and Adrian Peterson, and it was like, oh my God, if we ever fall down by more than 6 points, this shit is over. I feel like with the way Buffalo is motivated for this game after just losing to Zach freaking Wilson, it's a little worrying as a Vikings fan, but I'm thinking Buffalo -9.5 there.
If you lose, you're still going to have like a 6-game lead in the division. So
4.5 up plus the tiebreaker. Pretty good feeling. I like that.
I mean, yeah, it's
Detroit.
over.
Detroit off a big win today against Green Bay. They're at Chicago. Chicago's -2.5. Denver's at Tennessee. Tennessee is -1.5. I think that's assuming Tannehill's not playing, because Russell Wilson should not be a 1.5.
If he loses to what I saw at the end of the Sunday Night Football, that's a problem.
We got to discuss that. What the hell was Malik Willis doing on the final possession of overtime? Like, throw the ball.
I don't want to make any drastic predictions of his future in the NFL. Long way to go. Because I mean, it looked early that the read option with him and Derrick Henry could be something.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know, maybe Spagnuolo at halftime figured it out. But boy, Malik, I'm just again, I'm not a quarterback, never been one, but I recommend throwing the ball to a receiver. Like one.
0 receptions for Tennessee receivers in that game. Even Justin Fields is like, dude, that's fucking horrible.
Like I mean, yeah, the receivers just getting their wind sprints in.
Unbelievable.
Good old exercise today. But yeah, anyways, that -1.5 back to the game. Yeah, if it was Tannehill, it'd probably be higher.
It would be much higher, you would think. Denver coming off a bye, that's probably why it's so close. Jacksonville at KC -9.5. I'm not touching that. KC's fine. They had a little bit of a tough game today, but
they should win big.
They should roll in that one. That's a get-right game for them. Cleveland at Miami. I love Miami here. It's Miami -4.5. Cleveland coming off the bye is the reason that it's only 4.5. I think if this was just a regular old game, they'd probably be favored by like 7. Miami should score 40 here. Like, Myles Garrett is the only thing that can stop them from getting to 40 with the way they're playing right now. Love Miami. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't touch it just because, like, Miami kind of scares me a little bit. Myles Garrett was elite the last time I saw him on Monday Night Football.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's playing against the Bengals O-line, and Miami's a lot better, but yeah, I mean, if I had to pick one, yeah, definitely -5.5 for Miami, or 4.5. What did you say?
Yeah, 4.5.
Yeah,
I feel like, Brissett's not going to be able to keep up with Tua in that offense the way they're playing right now.
I just feel like Miami's hot and cold. Like, they put up like 30, and then like they'd have a game, and it's like, especially.
I mean, they gave up a ton of points to Fields and Goff in back-to-back weeks. They won both games, but that's a little worrying.
I thought their defenses would be better than what it is. I mean, they just traded for Bradley Chubb. By the way, yeah, they turned the Trey Lance trade into Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Bradley Chubb, and we turned it into still having Jimmy Garoppolo.
And the crazy thing is I think everybody's okay. I mean, nobody's like furious about it. Obviously, Miami loves it, but like, you're a Super Bowl contender, so. At this point, I just
not to get off on a whole side conversation, but I just think, boy, if we just didn't do that and just drafted a player like at 12 instead of making that trade, like, where would we be? Would Mike McGlinchey be here still? Would we have drafted a right tackle? I don't know.
Oh, we don't want to go down that slippery slope. Anyways, Houston at the Giants. Giants are -5.5 coming off the bye. I liked seeing the fight from Houston against Philly. I was kind of hoping Houston would win so that the Vikings could get back to level with Philadelphia. I do think the Giants here -5.5 off the bye is probably a pretty decent bet, though. The way Houston just like cannot move the ball on the road, they can't really move it that well at home. They only scored 10 against Tennessee the week prior to this week, so I'm looking at the Giants there a little bit. New Orleans at Pittsburgh. New Orleans -3. Another game. Nobody should watch that. If you're watching that,
I don't know what to think about. I don't know. You could just shake it up and pull a number out of a hat. I don't know what you're gonna get.
If you're betting on that game, you have a problem. You need to seek help because nobody knows what the hell's going to go on in that game. New Orleans is so hit or miss this season. Pittsburgh, you got Tomlin, but I mean, I don't know. Tire fire right now. No way I'm touching that game. Indy at Vegas too. That's another one. It's like
that I saw that on the schedule and was like, well, why?
Vegas -3.5. My thought would be probably Vegas is a decent bet there, given Indianapolis like cannot move the ball. Period.
They're terrible.
But Vegas is terrible. I mean, that's
well, they're bad. They're bad, but I get a weekly Colts update from my dad, who's got Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman on his fantasy team, and he's just like, I hate the Colts. I have no reason to even watch them like before fantasy, but because of this fantasy thing, he's like big Colts watcher, and he's like, this sucks.
Oh, yeah. His fantasy team name was Taylor Made to start the season. I think he changed the name because he was so disgusted by Taylor missing all these games. And when he does play, he puts up like 5 points. Not great.
No, the Colts are bad. I could have went Frank Wright for the bum of the week, but I've heard and just what I've seen, he's a really nice guy, and I can't do it.
This is a reputable podcast. We're not going to slander a nice guy.
I'm not going to sound a nice guy. But watch out. The Niners lose to Kyler Murray. This will not be a nice podcast.
No, it will not. There will be some expletives in the next episode if that happens. Dallas at Green Bay. The game that I would imagine Fox was like, we have to have this one before the season. They put it at 125. They're like, everyone and their mom is going to watch this game. Oh,
the crazy part is everyone and their mom still will watch this game.
It's true. It's like,
is it what they thought it was? No, but people are still going to watch.
Yeah. It's still going to get.
What else are you going to do?
If you add all the World Series games combined, their rating might
Dallas, Green Bay, Niners Rams wasn't what it was maybe supposed to be a couple weeks, but I saw it got like 25 million. And this is even bigger brands than that. Packers Dallas, I don't know if it gets bigger than that. For
Dallas -2.5. We have a problem here because I really like Green Bay as a buy low in this spot. Obviously Rodgers looked awful today, like as bad as I've seen him look, but like this is everything for him. Like this is a legacy game for him. Like he has to come out and put up big numbers. And you're like, hell no, Dallas by 1 million.
Rodgers had that today. Like he's had that last couple weeks. Like we're past the point. Like Aaron, like for the love of God, my wonderful friend Dwayne Michael Carter Jr., also known as Lil Wayne, called him out on Twitter, and they're like friends. Like he said we should have got rid of Rodgers after last year. It's just the 3 picks. They were all, correct me if I'm wrong, they were all in the red zone.
Yeah, and they were all just like 100% his fault, like underthrown, overthrown, stuff that you never see from him. I
know the last play of the game I saw, like he threw it. Sammy Watkins like was kind of had leverage, for 1 second to the outside. Rodgers throws it over the back shoulder like he's going to the pylon, and he ends up like switching it to go inside, and he gets open, but Rodgers already throwing the ball, and Rodgers like armed, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, maybe you had that connection with Devontae, Aaron, but like, is he supposed to read your mind? Like, is that, I know that the highest level of football, like it basically is mind reading when it comes to receivers and quarterbacks and the defense, like where you're going to, I know like the best of the best do that, but like he was never open on the replay. Like you still threw it to it. Like, what is he? I don't know. It's so bad. It's just vibes are bad.
Oh,
the play is bad.
It's not good.
I don't know. Dallas is off their bye. Dallas's defense is so good. How are they going to score? They couldn't score against Detroit, and Detroit was giving up to everybody.
Yeah, 9 points in
Detroit today. Guy, I saw a post-game thing with Dan Campbell. He gave the game ball to the D coordinator who had been. Everyone basically said, "Hey, Dan, how about you fire him?"
Yeah,
and plays the Packers, and it's our get right game.
Whew.
Unbelievable. But I'm not big on Dallas either. But Packers, their stock is blockbuster right now.
Oh, let's run through a couple more games real quick. Arizona at the Rams. Rams are -3. I'm not touching that. That's another one where you just can't predict what you're going to get from week to week from either of those teams. Monday Night Football, Washington at Philly. Philly -10.5. That sounds about right. I saw that. I was like, should probably be more than 10. Makes a lot of sense. But let's go to the big game of next week. Chargers at 49ers, Sunday Night Football. You got to be pumped. It's Niners -3.5, and I'm a little bit inclined to take the Niners in this spot.
Yeah, Niners -3.5. If I didn't like to err on the side of hedging my feelings in bets, I would feel pretty confident taking the Niners. This game isn't what it was supposed to be at the beginning of the year with all the injuries to the Chargers. Niners have a lot of injuries too, but they've gotten a lot of guys back. Chargers, who knows if Joey Bosa plays, like you mentioned, Slater's out. Who knows if we see Keenan Allen or Mike Williams?
Right.
Yeah, the Niners should get Elijah Mitchell back. So him with Christian McCaffrey should be pretty sweet.
Debo's supposed to be back as well, right?
Debo's supposed to be back. The one guy who's not, Kinlaw is still on IR. He can't play, but Eric Armstead sounds like he probably won't. But yeah, Niners off a bye. Chargers just went from LA to Atlanta to, they'll have to fly back.
Right.
I know it's not like a road trip like in, basketball or hockey. It's only one plane flight, but that's got to count for something. Yeah, I think Niners been good at home. I think it's going to be, night games are always a little bit more electric. So I am pretty confident that the Niners will cover the 3.5.
Yeah, it's a good spot for them. Usually at this point in the podcast, we do talk about our teams. I've already waxed poetic about the Vikings and their 7-1 record and how
they're 7-1, and the fact that we're 7-1. Just repeat that.
It's just 7-1. When you multiply that by 2, that's 14-2. So, oh my God, it's just.
So you're like, if so facto, we're on pace for to be 15-2.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, if we host multiple playoff games in 2022, I don't even want to put this thought out.
The playoffs don't start tomorrow. They don't. But if they did, it's Niners at Vikings in the wild card.
Oh my God. The ratings would be gangbusters for our podcast if that happened. Everybody would be tuning in. And by that, I mean 73 people.
You know what? That's 73 of the greatest fans in sports.
We have the greatest fans, the absolute best. Yeah.
Hi, Mom.
Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad. Anything else you saw in sports this week outside of the NFL? Obviously, I mean, my one note that I have here on our rundown is Astros win World Series. Why does God hate us?
It just sucks. I don't even, like I mentioned, I don't watch as much baseball as I did, when the A's and Astros were really going at it and, when they were banging on the trash cans. But it's just like, it can't be good for baseball. Like, no one wants them to win. I mean, just like it is a turnoff. Like, it felt maybe a little less aggravating that Carlos Correa was in Minnesota for this.
That's true. And Dusty Baker was the manager, so he's like kind of easier to
like how Tuve's still there, like Bregman's still there, Justin Verlander and his brother falling around are still there. Like, I don't know. It's just no.
We don't like that. Not at all.
But no, other things, no, locally the Warriors are in the tank. But who cares?
Yeah. I believe they benched every single significant player for that game on Friday.
I could go on another bum of the week, every load management player ever in the NBA, but I'm not because this is a football podcast. But I just hate it. I just hate it.
One other thing, sports-wise, I'm going to Vegas for my 30th birthday. I'm setting it up so that it's like during the World Cup. So I know everybody who listens to football podcasts wants to hear about soccer, but maybe as we get closer to the World Cup, which starts on the 20th, I'll give a few stupid bets that I might place based upon
Do we have a chance?
We do not. We do not.
What about winning like one game?
So I'm trying to think of the football equivalent of the U.S. men's national team. I would say it's like if the Bengals had a quarterback slightly below Joe Burrow's level. Let's say it's like, God, not even Lamar, like Tua, someone like that. I don't know. Matthew Stafford. It's not great, but the coach is Greg Berhalter, and he is the Zach Taylor of soccer. Just holding what could be a pretty decent team back. He's a complete boob. It's like you have, for once, a pretty talented roster, and this guy is completely holding it back. He was hired basically because his brother was in charge of the hiring process, and it's a total joke. But we'll save that for another podcast. Nobody wants to hear about how the U.S. is going to get shellacked by England in
it's okay. We may not win. We may not win on the field, but we win world wars. So
back-to-back World War champs.
Put that banner up.
Oh yeah. Hang that banner when we lose 9-0 to England on. I believe it's on Thanksgiving actually.
Super.
Yeah.
It's okay. No one will be watching. Everybody watching Vikings Patriots.
Oh, let's go. That game all of a sudden is like, yes.
I did look at that recently. I was like, oh, Thanksgiving coming up. Like, it'd be cool. Who's playing? I think it's Buffalo, Detroit in the morning. Just get Detroit off of Thanksgiving.
I know that's like a thing. All Detroit has.
Like, I mean, I don't know. At least put Detroit, like maybe a division game, like Detroit, Chicago, like at least maybe like Detroit, and then they just put Buffalo. Like, okay, here's a massacre
to start the day.
But it is, I believe it is Dallas Giants,
which will be great.
Which definitely matters. And then Vikings up in the Great North. That stadium.
Hopefully at that point we're something like 9-2. That would be pretty sick. Let's go over to my You Like That picks of the week. We're 7-2-1 so far on this podcast. How about that? We went to 3-3 or
that sounds good.
3-1-1 today. We had Seattle, the Chargers, Jacksonville, Indianapolis, which what were we doing there? And then Cincinnati. 7-2-1 is super duper profitable. So like this is
my hockey math says that's 15 points.
Yeah, we're looking at a spot in the Calder Cup playoffs if we keep up that level of production up there. Yeah.
Wagon.
We are an absolute wagon on this podcast, and we're going to try to build on it with 5 more picks this week. My first pick is I'm going to go with Miami -4.5. I mentioned freaking love their offense. We have to go with Miami there. It's one of those that like I'll probably bet Miami, and then I'll also bet Miami's team total points over because their defense isn't that good. So the only way you lose this bet is if Miami's defense is just really bad again, because they are going to score points. Second pick, we're going to go with Seattle +2.5. This is your pick. You said you like Seattle even with the travel there.
Oh, I love them. The opposite vibes of the Packers and Rams right now. They've given everyone no reason to not believe in them. And Tampa can't run the ball. They're so banged up. If this was even being played in Tampa with less travel, I would like even Seattle more. But yeah, no, I expect them to run. Kenneth Walker looks like an absolute stud. Yeah, we'll see. Tampa missed Antoine Winfield today pretty bad. I know Cooper Kupp ran by them again. I think it was a same play.
Same play from the playoff game last year.
Yeah. And so, Lockett and Metcalf should have a decent day. But yeah, I like Seattle. It's only 2.5. Yeah,
you thought it would be maybe like pick 'em or something, but it is Seattle +2.5. So that's our second pick. I'm going with the third pick, Buffalo -9.5. Like I said, Buffalo's angry and motivated to put the hammer down after losing to Zach Wilson. Vikings are riding high. This is kind of a game with diverging, Buffalo's pissed. The Vikings are on cloud 9. When you see a spot like that, you usually want to take the favorite. So I'm going with Buffalo there. And then we really struggle to find our 4th and 5th picks. We're thinking Giants -5.5 because they're coming off the bye and they're playing against Houston. This is mostly just a day ball pick, right?
I think it's mostly an anti-Texans pick. Like in fantasy football, when you look for a defense, you're like, I just want to find who this team's playing. That's what this feels like. The Texans, who are they playing? It's like, unless they're playing,
Chicago. Yeah. Detroit.
But even those, Texans, yeah. But yeah, the Giants, they're playing well off a bye. They should roll.
Yeah, I feel good about that one. And then the 5th pick, this is my you like that, not yours. I am going with the Packers +2.5. I know this seems blasphemous, but for me, when I handicap games, obviously I look at stats and I look at recent form, and both of those would say do not take Green Bay. But I really look at spot, and the spot here says, I don't know, is Mike McCarthy that good a coach? I don't know.
No.
Is this Aaron Rodgers Waterloo if he loses? Like, how do the Packers ever get to being good again as he's getting older? He's missing throws. If they don't win this game and then win a few more in a row, like, this is the kitchen sink moment for them. I know you said, last week was and the week before was, but like, are they going to go like 5-12 with maybe the 2nd or 3rd best quarterback ever? Like, I just don't see it happening. I'm taking Green Bay +2.5. I know you're going to try to talk me out of this, but that's my 5th pick.
That's a good thing you mentioned. I forgot the Mike McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers angle that happens this week too. But I don't. They're bad. My hot take, not even on the field, off the field. This game is Fox's game of the week. Like, Rodgers is tight with the people at Fox, like in the media. Like, he's doing interviews with Aaron Andrews all the time. He only talks to like her and Pat, like just those two.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking this week, like, we're gonna hear something, like just something this week in interview, whether it's on Pat McAfee, whether it's Aaron Andrews on the Fox I know something. I have no evidence to believe that Aaron Rodgers won't somehow deflect this, that he just threw 3 picks in the red zone and lost to Detroit. Like, something's going to come up. Like Russell Wilson, his move was, as soon as he lost that game, was like the next day his agent was like, nah, shoulder, needs surgery. Yep. It's like, really?
He's toughing it out.
Yeah. Did he? Because I heard he's doing hours of high knees on the plane. Like, he seems fine. Rodgers, I feel like that's it. That's just his thing. It's not like, just say it. You don't even have to believe it, man. Just say it. Like, I played like shit today. Josh Allen said it.
Yeah.
And he's not playing as bad as you are. He said, it's hard to win when your quarterback plays like shit, and I played like shit. Like, Sean McVay, like, your team sucks, but he's like, I coached like shit today. Aaron, just say it. You don't have to believe it. Just say it.
Take some accountability.
Just he doesn't say it, and not only doesn't he say it, it's like, something's up. I don't know. That's my bet. Something's gonna happen. But yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if the Packers won, because it's in Lambeau. I don't believe in Dallas's offense. Dak any day of the week could look like crap.
Mm-hmm.
Although his last performance, I know, was against what was it? They played Detroit.
Detroit, yeah.
Yeah, and he played really well. But yeah,
Chicago. They beat the doors off Chicago.
Yeah, Detroit was his first game back, and he didn't look good. And then he played. Yeah, that's right. Right. I knew it was some team in the North. Yeah, but
so just to recap quickly: Miami -4.5, Seattle +2.5, Buffalo -9.5, Giants -5.5, and Green Bay +2.5. We're 7-2-1 so far. Let's keep it rolling. Last couple segments of the show. We already did my You Like That predictions of the week. Now it's your feels great baby, your wildest take you feel best about at the moment. And you're going in a completely different direction than the last couple weeks. You have some slander for some pretty prominent companies in this country that are in charge of our sports consumption. What is this?
This is, this cannot be me, the only person feeling like this, but I've had this argument with my dad for years now. We are getting royally screwed with the streaming services and the internet and the just the diversification of these sporting events on every different device channel. Like Texas U is Thursday Night Football. Like everyone, maybe not everyone, but most people are watching football, no matter what channel it's on, whether it's on, Fox, CBS, NBC, Amazon, ESPN Plus, the Moon. It doesn't matter. Like people are watching football. Well, that day was on Amazon. It's like, all right, cool. Like watching football, and it's like maybe a between quarters, commercial, halftime. Maybe I'll flip it to baseball. It was Thursday. Maybe you flip it to the NBA on TNT, or maybe you're watching hockey. Maybe you're watching, I don't know, 90 Day Fiance. I don't know, whatever you want to watch, but like you can't. And it's like it's too much work. The quality's worse. Like it is streaming. Like I'm watching games. Like the Sharks were on ESPN Plus the other. My phone tells me what happens before I see it on their own streaming thing.
Right.
You pay for ESPN Plus, you pay for Hulu, you pay for Netflix, you pay for Amazon, you pay for HBO, you pay for Peacock, you pay for Apple, you pay for, and then you pay, like, because us sports fans, like, we still can't kick the Comcast to the curb, because that's where your live sports, that's where for me, it's the NFL Network, it's the NHL Network.
Yeah, you got to get your local regional baseball, hockey, basketball, all that.
And it's like, okay, I don't even want to add it up. I know how much our Comcast bill is. It's too much. They shut off my internet the other day for maintenance, like to improve. It was fine. Like you don't need to turn off my internet on a work day, like all day. Like, am I going to get a refund? No.
They've got us over a barrel with this.
Like, I don't know what the resolution is. I don't know.
It should not.
They've got me by the balls.
Yeah,
they absolutely have me, and they know it. It's like I always think about too. Like, what's stopping people from charging? I don't want to get like super into, because there's always people out there smarter than me who can explain these things. But I just think about it out loud. Like, what if they just made, like, you go to restaurants, like, water's free? Why? Like, what if they just start charging $10 for water? Like, what are we gonna do? Not drink? Like, we're gonna order buffalo wings or something hot and not drink? Like soda's now like $4. You don't even get a refill because no one works anymore. You get a beer that maybe costs $25. I don't know. Like these people like Comcast, the sports fans, like, oh, we're losing money everywhere. These people are cutting the cord. They're going to Netflix or whatever. But we got these sports fans, and we're gonna nail them, and they are nailing me.
And
like I don't want to have to. I don't like. Does everyone have 5 TVs? Like I see all these people like, oh, look at my setup, man. It's like, okay, you must live alone, because there's no way your wife approves of that.
Exactly.
Absolutely not. There's no way you're like, you live alone. Okay, which
I get TikToks.
Sometimes that could be the dream, but like
I see these on Instagram. I see these on TikTok. It's some guy who's like, look, I got a 75-inch
It's always like Saturday college football. Like,
I got 4 games surrounding it, and then I got the stats over here, and I'm like, you are not married. You are
like there's people who actually have the Amazon, broadcast, and then they have the Amazon like Prime Vision broadcast. Like they actually have on all the broadcasts at one time. And I'm like, I'm lucky if I get one TV.
And what we want is we want to be able to flip between games, especially with, say it's football, baseball, and basketball and hockey, like it was on Thursday, where all 4 leagues have like big games going on right now. Oh, let's flip over here. Let's flip over here. We were like timing it. We were like, it took 77 seconds to go from ESPN Plus over to Amazon and get that stream going and get it to, and you're still way behind live. So your phone is already telling you what happened. It's a miserable experience. And it's like, do we need to just lump all of them together again in like a pseudo cable so we can actually just flip through channels?
And we like, what happened to picture in picture? That used to be like, so that was like 20 years ago. It's like, oh, look at that. It's like, nope. They're like, it's all mobile. Like, I don't want to have a TV, a tablet, my phone. Like a lot of times I might AirPlay my phone to the TV really quickly. But then like say you or whoever texts me about the game because everyone's watching the game at the same time, like I can't.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden everyone in the room's reading my texts on the TV. Like I don't want to have a TV, a tablet, a phone, like my laptop, like to watch what I want to watch. And like a robot. Maybe I'm just a wannabe boomer, but like I just want to watch the game on the TV
and have
in
my
one place.
phone free for texting. Yeah. I will have two screens.
Yeah.
One is to text people while the stuff is going on and to look at Twitter and to see injury updates and whatever. And the other is to watch the actual thing. Like bring back picture in picture. If you're out there and you're, some technology whiz that's looking for a new idea, bring back picture in picture on TVs. We want that. You think about
video games, like you play like a multiplayer where they got like into quarters, like they got 4 screens. Can we get that? Like we've all seemed to have gotten really good at this whole Zoom, Teams, Google Meet thing with this working from home now. We could have 50 people in a freaking meeting. Can we get like 2 things on the TV at one time?
Get it done, Elon. Get it done, Bezos.
Somebody
figure this shit
out. They're like,
oh
no, we got LeBron in the shop coming to Amazon Prime Thursday Night Football. Like, oh, super. Let me get my second laptop out for that.
We were all clamoring for that. We were like, no, we don't want to be able to flip between sports. We want LeBron to commentate on football. That's what we all wanted. Focus grouped that, and that's what they came up with.
Who was like, yeah, I got this idea, and they're like, yeah. I don't know, but yeah, it's that I actually can't believe more people aren't talking about that.
Right. It needs to be a conversation.
Like, am I the idiot? Like, am I the idiot that like I don't have a sick TV set up in my living room and like a laptop and an iPad? I don't know.
It's a lot to juggle. Someone's got to come up with something that combines them all, and when they do, we will pay them handsomely for it. Until then, we're kind of stuck with the way it is with all these streaming services. Anything else happen outside the week of sports you want to talk about before we get out of Dodge? Anything happen for you this week? I know you're going to Hawaii next week. Got to be pumped for that.
Yeah. We're big things planned going to Hawaii. Probably do like the whole Pearl Harbor thing, which will be Veterans Day, so it'll probably be packed there. Go see the USS Arizona because we're going to Oahu, Waikiki. I'm going to see a friend from work. He grew up there and then moved out to the Bay Area with his brother, and then he moved back to Hawaii. So visit him for a bit. Just enjoy the time. I'm just thrilled not having to work.
Oh, there's nothing like it.
We leave super early Wednesday. Like we got to leave our house like 3 a.m.
I mean, the time early, though.
You know what? Yeah, you know what? We have a layover, I think, in Maui, but we get back pretty late Sunday night. Like, I think we land in San Jose. I think that's where we're flying in and out of, like 10 o'clock. So I'm gonna miss the football game, the Niner game.
Yeah, you're gonna have
sick move, wife.
You're gonna have to catch up on everything Sunday night and Monday, because then we're gonna record our next episode of the podcast on Monday night next week. So we'll release that one Monday night instead of our usual Sunday evening. For me, this week, played a lot of pickleball like I always do. Got my foot barking with some plantar fasciitis. It was rough today, but I decided to tough it out and play in our softball game.
Just lower body
injury day to day. I had the compression sock. I had ice. I was like, I'm going to tough it out today. I pitched. The game was 10-8. We were trailing bottom of the 7th. Runners on first and third, and I came up to the plate with 2 outs. I smashed one into the gap. Tie game, 10-10. I got to third, advancing on the throw. Pinch ran for me. Our manager, Brandon, pinch ran for me, which is a smart move. I'm 6'5", 280 at this point, so I'm not exactly limber. And the next batter drove a fly ball to left field that the left fielder dropped. Walk off. We win the game. So we're on a roll. Our softball
Plan the parade.
Team. Plan the parade. We're a wagon. We can't be stopped. It was highly dramatic. Every game is dramatic with our team.
You know what getting back to just quickly on the Hawaii trip, wife's probably thinking like, oh, it's gonna be like, and it is. We're gonna have a great time. But she's like, oh, beach, all this stuff. You know what the first thing I thought of?
Oh,
I was
God.
like, football with the game in Germany. Football starts at 3:30 in the morning Sunday. I'm like, Thursday night football starts at 2:00. That's pretty sick.
It is pretty sick. You can be done with your football watching and it's still light out.
Yeah, she'll be like, let's go to the beach. I'll be like, oh, sorry, game actually starts at 2. Do you know how much of a bad husband I'm going to be if I'm going to rearrange our Thursday in Hawaii for Atlanta,
Cardinals,
Carolina?
Falcons. Oh, I mean, yeah, Atlanta, Carolina. That is so bad. Our first trip to Hawaii that me and my wife Jamie took was in 2019. And I remember the Vikings played the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football on the last day of our trip. And I was like transfixed to the TV watching. And literally we had like the nicest room and the most unbelievable view of Diamond Head. And I'm like, this is the most beautiful place in the world. And I'm watching like a small TV in the corner of our hotel room. And she's thinking, what is wrong with you? And the Vikings
nothing.
won.
The answer is nothing,
yeah.
Eric.
Yeah, well, that's up for debate. But
the answer is nothing because we went to Disneyland last year, and I was like, so when do we get in? When do we get in? And it was the night the Niners played Sunday night against the Colts in the monsoon, and I was like, we got to get a hotel, and I'm like doing all this, of course now all these hotels like you got to like pay extra for internet, get that set up internet. I'm like, oh my god, this is such like trying to get on my phone and everything. She's like, we're in Disneyland. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you think I'm doing? I'm getting the game on. And it's just like,
this is what we do. We take it just that little bit too far, but this is why we're podcast hosts. We're dedicated to the brand.
Oh yeah. We're here for the fans.
Yeah, that's why we do it. It's not that we like love to watch.
I will say like you mentioned it, but even like a couple people, family, and whoever said like, they're asking me like how many views we get on like the podcast, and she's like, we don't know, but like we can see your TikTok views, and you got like a few hundred. I'm like, really? I was like, I know the algorithm can like help us, but I'm like, wow, that's pretty decent, not bad.
Yeah, we were getting like roughly 300 to 400 views on all of our videos, and then this morning, last week's video about our 5 picks of the week just took off. Like so many views.
We got in the stream. We got in the algorithm. We got in the yeah.
Somebody somewhere was like, I'm gonna look for horrible gambling advice from 2 dudes from Fremont and just see if this is the way to go. And if they would have done it, they would have been really profitable today. So keep those what do the kids say? Rate and subscribe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We'll respond to your questions if you put a review. We prefer a 5-star, but any star is
yeah, I mean, if we get some less than 5-star reviews, but they really pile up, I mean, we'll take it. Any star is a good star for at this point with us just starting out in our podcasting career. Good work today, man.
Well, that was good. We didn't lose. My team didn't lose, so
Vikes are 7-1. Niners are on Sunday Night Football next week. You're going to Hawaii. My softball team's on a roll.
The real question is do I set an alarm for 3:30 in the morning to watch football next Sunday in Hawaii?
As someone who really likes Kayla, please, for the love of God,
I actually think I might have a chance because I think she could be sleeping, and that's just gaining time. Like she sleeps, she's not going to even know. There's probably zero chance the place where I don't know. It's so hit or miss some of these TVs that any hotel has, but it is on NFL Network. And I don't know that every hotel everywhere, especially in Hawaii, they're like, who's watching football at 3 a.m.? So,
a word of advice: let's err on the side of caution there and wait for the 7 a.m. kickoffs.
I mean, that's even cool. Like 7 8. I think we leave later. Obviously, Sunday it'll be a big flight. This will be our longest flight together, and I'm the middle guy. She loves sitting on the window, and happy wife, happy life. She's like, well, you could sit on the aisle. I'm like, so you mean to tell me we're gonna just put a rando between us for like 6 hours?
Oh, you gotta go aisle for 6 hours. There's no way you can.
No, see, that's the thing. See, this is why I am a good guy. I do volunteer the middle seat so she could have the window because I prefer the aisle. But that if she wants to sit next to me, then that she's in the middle, and she doesn't like the middle. So I volunteer the middle. That's my cross to bear.
You either do aisle,
and I hold it over her head the whole trip.
You either do aisle if you can get it, and if you can't, then you do aisle window.
Well, we're lucky. We got lucky that the layover from island hopping. It's just two. It's just two seats, so we're next to each other, just two. But the flight from San Jose, I think we're flying out to Maui. Yeah, it'll be. What is that? You've done that before. I haven't done this. I haven't flown to Hawaii.
5.5. Yeah.
Yeah. I think our longest flight together was is Vegas. So this is way longer.
This will be a test. We'll have fun.
You know what I'm gonna do? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna blast our podcast on the plane. I'm gonna hook up the podcast to the. I'm gonna be like, give me the aux cord, pilot.
Let's do it. They're gonna be like,
I know you're handing out the traffic safety things, but could you just plug this in?
Give the people what they want.
They want it. There's somebody else on that plane besides me who's getting up for football on Sunday in Hawaii. There's got to be one.
Oh yeah. Well, hopefully in Hawaii, man. Yeah, hope you guys have a great trip. Good seeing you.
We're gonna eat good. We're gonna eat good.
Oh yeah. Nothing like
that's one thing we do agree on. We're pretty aligned on.
Oh yeah, you're gonna crush it. Absolutely crush it.
I'm looking forward to a Loco Moco.
Oh, those are so good. I would love to just have one of those right now. It's 10 o'clock Pacific time, and I don't care. I would eat one right now.
Definitely.
All right, man. Have fun in Hawaii. Good seeing you again, and we'll do it again next week. Next week, we're looking at Week 11, Niners Sunday Night Football, Vikings in Buffalo. Hopefully, it's almost as positive as it's been the last 2 weeks. I'm not all that hopeful, but I'm pumped for next week, man. I'll see you then.
See you, buddy.